Welcome back to Life, Love, and Real Estate. I am Daniel Palmer. I'm joined, as always, by my much better pod half, LaCressa. LaCressa, how's it going today?
It's going. It's a beautiful day outside. It's nice and warm and sunny. I'm looking a little tired, but that's okay because I'll perk up throughout this conversation.
It's awesome because we're in Atlanta and it's warm and sunny. Could mean any time of year because if you don't like the weather in Atlanta, wait 20 minutes. It will change on you. But this is episode 4, LaCressa. When we started this, you came to me and said, I want to do a podcast. Did you ever think we'd get to episode 4?
I mean, I knew that we would get to episode 4. What we would be talking about in episode 4 would be a whole different thing. But yes, I have big plans and vision for this, and we will see how this plays out because we know how we plan and God laughs. I hope that this just grows exponentially and we just, touch people where we need to be touched and people learn some things from us and they have some things to say. And because we always have things to say, right? That's one of the
Not a problem on this end.
Are good at is that we always have things to say. So I hope that I'm excited about episode 4. I'm excited that we are slowly getting subscribers as well as at the end of the day, we are getting listeners. And so, yeah, this is exciting. I'm really interested to see how things play out over time.
I'm so glad you said that because I've been doing podcasting for 14 years now. And you reminded me of something I don't always do. If you're listening to us on YouTube, please click or subscribe. If you're listening to us on any of your podcatcher platforms, hit subscribe. That way you don't miss 1 second of the life, love, and real estate goodness that we're going to bring to you every 2 weeks at this point. We'll see how the schedule continues to work for us, but I feel very comfortable with the conversations we've been having. And obviously, always having something to talk about. I want to talk today about something that I think, yes, it's real estate. Yes, it's life and love, but it's also any sort of interpersonal relationship whatsoever. It is clear, concise communication. And
that's what we hope. We hope clear and concise communication.
But I'll be the first to admit my communication style is one that has a tendency to be overly verbose. I like to talk through a thing, but I'm also the listener who's like, don't tell me how to build a watch, tell me what time it is. So like, I understand that like my own natural inclinations go against the things that I like to have happen. What do you, we're old enough to know kind of what we like and don't like. What is the communication style that works best when talking to you?
I'm a pretty direct person, as you know, as many have told me. I got it from my mother, and who got it from her mother. So, I like directness. It doesn't have to be rude, but I'm a person who loves to know where they stand. I want to know what your thoughts and feelings are at every moment. So anytime it seems to bleed over into my interpersonal relationships outside of my profession, but anytime I'm discussing something or explaining something, I'm always asking, does this make sense? Does this make sense? Does this make sense? Because I always want you to fully understand me. And so I want to be as clear as possible. I might even not necessarily repeat things, but if it's like a steps in a process, right? Like do this, do this, do this, do this. I'm not going to make the assumption that you know anything. And it's not to say how much I know. I just don't know where you are in that process. And I recognize too that people have a tendency to be a little insecure about being vulnerable about what they don't know. Especially when it comes to real estate, right? They want to show that they know things, right? And if they don't know something, they just don't say anything at all. And we have a tendency in our industry, and I would say in all industries, to use acronyms for things and make the assumptions that everybody knows what we're talking about, right? Because we've been doing it for so long. And it doesn't matter what field you are in. You use acronyms if you're a teacher, if you're a scientist, if you're a doctor, and the person on the other end is smiling politely, going, and nodding their head, but they have no idea what the hell you're talking about, right? And so with real estate, it's so overwhelming already that I want to make sure that every step of the way you understand, does this make sense? If it doesn't make sense, then I'm going to break it down even further. So for me, going back to your original question, I like directness. I like clarity. I like to know your thoughts and your feelings. I am also going to be like one of those people that says, like, tell me more, right?
Hmm.
So that's where I come from. I come from a place of wanting to know as much information as possible, so then I know where to navigate to.
I love that because I'm kind of the same way, but for different reasons. Like I'm very much the same way you are when I'm communicating. I want to make sure I'm understood. But when you're giving something to me, I was alignment. Like I always tell like anyone who comes to supervising, I'm like, you can't hurt my feelings. Don't sugarcoat
Mm,
anything. Like tell me exactly what's expected of me so that I can achieve that goal. If you don't, if like an alignment, it's like, hey, you missed this block. Okay, cool. Why did I miss it? Well, maybe you weren't feeling right. Like, no, no, no. Your foot's pointed the wrong direction on your first step. Great, thank you. I can fix that. I can't fix like
oh, okay, I get that. So
how
you
we.
want like correctable steps, like clear correctable steps. I'm not like that. I'm more so like, have you considered this? Have you
Yeah,
considered this? Right? My friends tell me, and my mother and my sister like to say that I am bossy. And I will say that I am not bossy. It's all a matter of perspective. I do take control of situations when there is a lack of leadership. I am not a voluntary leader. I've never wanted to be team captain. I've never wanted to be president of the association. I don't want to do any of those things.
right.
What I will do, though, is if there is a lack of leadership, then I will automatically step up,
You'll fill the
right?
void.
I'll fill the void. And so when I'm saying things, you perceive it however you perceive it. Like I have no control over your perception of what I'm saying. All I tell people is all the time that everybody has agency. I'm just making suggestions. I'm not telling you what to do. If you're perceiving it as me telling you what to do, then you must feel that you need some type of instruction. Because if you didn't perceive it as needing some type of instruction, then you wouldn't take it as me telling you what to do. You would just take it as, here's a trusted friend of mine, which I assume that I'm in that position with you, that I'm offering you another solution. I'm offering you an alternative to think about things from a different perspective in a different way. And so I, through lots of therapy, like to come from a place of observation, not from a place of judgment. Don't get me wrong. I can be a little judgy, but I will lead with, I'm about to be judgy right now. Other
Right.
than that, I am leading from a place of observation because I pay attention to patterns of behavior. And that's what I've learned. And that's what has served me into my late 30s, now into my late 40s, is paying attention to people's patterns of behavior, whether it is their language or their action. And then from that observation, I can say, would you consider this? Have you seen this? Have you thought about this from a different perspective? Because I'm always going to be a half full person, right?
Right.
Either it's a critique or it's a lesson. I'm going to say it's a lesson. You might say it's a critique. So your perception of what I'm saying is on you, but I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do. We are all grown. We all get to make our own decisions. If you choose to follow the things that I'm saying, it's because it resonated with you and it made some sense to you. If you feel a pushback from it, you either feel like you're being told what to do and you don't like it and you're rebelling like a child, or it just is not an opinion that you value. And if that's cool too. Like you don't
Right.
have to value my opinion. But do not assume that it is a criticism or a critique.
I like that a lot because in my communications, I had to reconsider and also recognize that everyone doesn't react to the directness that I like to have, which I think I overswung because I become super empathetic where I'm like, oh, I don't want them to feel this way. I don't want them to feel that way. That's one of the reasons like people are like, you should do a call more than you text because you can't hear the inflection in my voice when I'm texting.
True.
Some of the words that may come out harshly, I'm able to frame them in a way that doesn't sound or feel the same way. And so I think that it's interesting how both of us really have kind of taken what we know works for us and like, okay, how do I apply it to other people or how can I not apply it to other people? Because you had to do the therapy where you're like, okay, when people are telling me a thing, it's not necessarily bossing me around or X, Y, or Z, or you're not being bossy, you're being direct and you're being, you're helping, like you said, by providing advice, providing perspective, providing expertise, which doesn't necessarily which allows you not to feel like it's bossy. It feels like, oh, I'm helping. It's like sales. Like people are like, oh, you're a salesman. I'm like, well, you say it like that. I'm not selling steak knives. I'm not selling encyclopedias. If you are a door-to-door encyclopedia salesman in 2025, oh my God, you're a time traveler.
Right.
But we're selling opportunity. We're selling peace of mind. We're selling generational wealth. And so really, it's really offering an opportunity to enhance your life, not necessarily here's how we sell you this thing to trick you. Like it's the implications of the word selling that I think people bring into those conversations that kind of can distract from the real goal, which is helping people.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, if you trust me, then you trust me, right? Then you would know that I'm giving you advice or giving you some alternative suggestions out of love, because
Right.
we are all super busy. We all have a million things on our mind. And I promise you, if I don't care, I'm not saying anything. And if I stop saying something, it's because I now don't care anymore. I really don't.
It's the old coaching axiom. It's like when a coach is yelling at you, that means they give a damn. The
Oh, yeah.
second they stop yelling, like, uh-oh, they've
Oh,
written me
no.
off.
Same thing in relationships,
Right.
right? Like when your partner who used to argue with you and tussle with you and go toe to toe, whether it's words or what, hopefully it's not violence. But if it's words, right, and they stop talking to you, oh, you might want to really reconsider the fact that they are done, right? Like they have no more passion, they have no more stake in the game anymore. Because I really don't care about winning. I don't care. If you need to feel like you are a winner in this, more power to you. I'm going to blow your head up and make you feel like you won, because I don't care. I
Right.
really don't care that much. I just want you to be understood. I want to be understood. I want you to be seen and heard. I want to be seen and heard. If we get to a point where we are not doing that, good luck. Have at it. Life is going to show you in a different way. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of warning before life spanks your ass. That's what I feel like I'm here for. I'm
I had
giving
to
you a
go.
slight warning, but then don't listen to my warning, but you will get smacked at some time.
I had to go through so much therapy to unpack the need to win in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it, like when I started with my newest therapist that I was working with last year, like the first two meetings, she was like, you feel like you have a lot of the answers, and that if people don't listen to you, it's just slowing you down. I was like, uh-oh, she found the narcissism early. Like, what are we doing here? She does it too well. Like, everyone escape. She got it. She found it too quickly. But you're right. It's one of those things where you've got to understand kind of yourself and why you feel certain ways in certain situations before you can truly be of assistance or be open to other people having their space to give their opinions and give their rights and kind of understand where they're coming from. How does that translate for you, relationship wise and in business, to having those tough conversations? Because I find that once you've established that baseline of respect, that baseline of, hey, I'm here working for you, you can have a tough conversation. You can have here's what we need to do to achieve the goal that we're all working with together, and not have it sound like a place of blame or accusation, and just like, hey, this is brass tacks, what needs to happen for us to win.
That's a good one. So I think it depends on the person. Honestly, like I'm still going to be me, right? I'm still going to show up authentically. I'm still going to show up honestly. I hate lies. I don't get me wrong. I was a great liar growing up. Like I was one of those kids who, as soon as I got trapped in something, I would start lying, and I wasn't really good at it, right? And so I got lots of spankings because I was literally lying in my mother's face with evidence all over me, right? Like made no sense. So I'm that person who I can't stand a stupid lie. Like if you're gonna lie to me, then give me a good one, like a really good one.
Give me a lie that's going to withstand two questions. Don't give
Right,
me a lie that I can unravel immediately. Give me a lie that I can ask two questions and still be somewhat convinced.
right. But a stupid lie
Stupid lie.
pisses me off. Like you're insulting my intelligence now. Like do not waste stupid lies on me. So there's that, right? So then I am the type of person that either you trust me or you don't.
Right.
I'm not working with anyone. I'm not having a friendship with anyone. I'm not continuing my relationship, even if we are related by blood, and specifically personally, if you do not trust me.
Right.
You don't need to be working with me if you don't trust me. You do not need to be dating me if you don't trust me. You do not need to have a friendship with me if you don't trust me. So that's my baseline from there. Now, once we get to the point where you now trust me and I trust you, we have to be able to have difficult conversations. Because if we cannot have difficult conversations coming from a place of love and trust, then you're not about authenticity and you're not about honesty. And therefore, I cannot continue to pour into this relationship, right? There has to be, my shit stinks sometimes, just like yours does. And I'm the type of person where I surround myself by people who are going to be honest with me and say, hey, you didn't show up that your best yesterday. Or I don't know if you recognize the tone in which you said that. Because sometimes I don't recognize my tone. I'm just
Right.
like saying something, and then I'll get a reaction from a bystander, and they're like, ooh. And I was like, oh, wait, what did I do? What did I say? Because we don't always know how we show up, which is why we have these people in our lives to be a mirror to us and say, sweetie, that wasn't your best look, or that was a great moment for you, or this is how you can perfect that, to be your better self. Right. And so I'm constantly surrounding myself by those people, and I want to have those conversations. So I find that you're not going to work well with me no matter how you show up in my life, whether it's a personal relationship, an intimate relationship, or a business relationship, if you cannot handle truth and honesty and authenticity and be able to have a tough conversation.
We do these internal for office, these scriptology practices every month, once a month. My office works with your office to do that. And we had
Yeah.
someone on last week, or yeah, gosh, last week now. And he said that when he was working with a family member, one of the things he had to do up front was, hey, we're going to interact in ways that are different than you're used to me interacting with you. You're going to see a business side of me that you've never seen before. I'm going to see sides of you that you've never seen before. Let's make sure that we remember the love and trust at the core of this, and we're all working towards the same goal. And I was like, to have the maturity and forethought to have that conversation with someone as you're going into a business transaction, which is a different kind of relationship than brother-in-law, sister-in-law, cousin. Like that's a different, like I've had friends who have bought houses and been like, honestly, didn't want you all up in my business because I thought it would change our friendship. I was like, I love that you're being that considerate of our friendship. I need you to realize that I look at these numbers every day, and I've never once been like, I can't speak to this person because look at their spending this month. Like that's never happened to me. And so I think that a lot of it, like you said, is the love and trust that's already established, but it's also the security in a relationship. And it's also having, like you said, those preemptive conversations to say, hey, look, like when you bring a client in, you're like, hey, this is going to feel like a second job. I tell them that. I say, look, we're going to work together to get you in this house. There are going to be times when I'm saying, hey, you're doing fine. Just keep moving. And tell them, say, hey, I really need these things for you in a timely manner. And I need you to react like it's a job. And so having those upfront conversations on top of the already earned trust and love and investment can really allow you to have the freedom to have these conversations to move forward and to, like I said, lean into the uncomfortable. And when the unexpected does occur, it doesn't become a situation where it's you mistrust. No, you've had these conversations, you've walked through the process, and you're able to say, hey, look, this is a hard thing that's happening right now. When we were living in Philadelphia, my dad got very sick, and my mother she's going to listen to this. My mother is a very strong woman.
Yeah.
And she was very direct with my brother and I that neither one of us were to come home. And it wasn't a question. It was this is how things are going to be.
Good.
But because I had that love and trust from my mother, and obviously the lifetime relationship, and knowing that she is incredibly strong-willed, hi mom. I shouldn't test it, but two, she gave me the parameters with which I could still be of assistance. So having connects in Atlanta when I was living in Philly, I called my friends who own restaurants, and they were able to keep her in meals for the 2 weeks she was in and out of the hospital. And to this day, they've never asked for a dime in restitution for me. They won't let me pay for those 2 weeks. And because they knew me and they knew her, and they were like, look, we're never going to ask for things from her, but what we're going to do is make sure that your family's okay. And
that's
having
beautiful.
that, it like, honestly, every time I talk about it, I get a little choked up because it literally saved my life, probably saved my mother's life, because it saved my father's life. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you don't know the impact of really, like you said, showing up for your people.
Yeah.
When things are tough.
And showing up is inconvenient. And I think that, we are God people, like we say God, right? So God always in your toughest moments will show you who's there for you. right? And you'll be surprised. And I've seen this time and time again, personally, and also outside of that, people who show up for everyone, right? Like they're the ones who do
Yeah.
everything for everyone. They're doing the deliveries, they're doing this, they're doing the fundraisers. My brother-in-law is one of those people. And, when it came time when he was down because he had to have surgeries, like your dad was going through his stuff, right? And as a man, he's like, who's going to handle everything? Who's going to take care of all this stuff? And my sister and I are like, we got this. We got you. My sister, of course, had his back. Like, they have a beautiful
Yeah.
relationship. And I had a conversation with him before his first surgery. And I said, I am about to have a really tough conversation with you. And we were drinking whiskey or tequila or something. I don't know. And just to end, I said, you are going to be very hurt by the people who don't show up, that you assume will automatically be there for you. And then God is going to surprise you with people that you never thought was ever going to show up for you, not because you didn't have a relationship with them, but you didn't know the depth of their love and their trust of you, and the fact that they've seen you beyond what you do for individually, but what you did for them, what you do for the community, and they want to show up for you as much as you show up for them. And it was heartbreaking for him and beautiful at the same time, because his heart was literally broken, because there were people that he just assumed were just going to be there to have his back, to have his wife's back, to visit him, to all of those things, and they ghosted.
Yeah.
And then there are people that you think you barely have a relationship with, but you don't understand the impact that you have on their lives. And those are the people who will show up for you. And so you get those beautiful, wonderful surprises. And I think one of the things about being an adult is that we get to hold multiple emotions at one time. So yes, you are heartbroken in one sense, but then your heart is being filled up in another sense, right? And so I'm thankful that I had that conversation with him. Look, I'm that friend who is willing to sacrifice our friendship for you to not look crazy out here in the world. That's what I do. I'm going to have that tough conversation with you, and I'm going to start off the conversation with, you may never speak to me again, and I am okay with that. But I love you enough to have this conversation with you so that you're not showing up in the world or with your family or on your job looking crazy and looking stupid where no one's going to have your back. You can't say that you weren't warned or you didn't have time to mentally prepare for some of the outcomes that may come up, because I'm looking at it from a different perspective. And also due to life lessons that we all have and being in situations and seeing things play it out, you're looking at it from your inside your head. I'm going to tell you how you're showing up in the world. So that's me. So it don't always work for everybody, which is why my circle gets smaller and smaller.
Your mileage may vary, but hey, but it's true, because it's
the people who are there.
You've put the investment in the trust and the love. And one of the cool things about being an adult, like you said, is that sometimes the hard conversations aren't sad things. Sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it's just knowing that the person's there for you. Sometimes it's realizing an opportunity you didn't see before. And that's why we're going to bring in not just our producer, Annie, but also recent home purchaser, Annie. Hi, Annie. How are you doing?
Good. Very, very good.
So for those of you who don't know,
a little
Annie
tripod
is
action.
The third part of this little podcast. She's the one who keeps us on our P's and Q's. She's the one who emails me and says, Daniel, you didn't send the audio. I'm like, oh God, I'm so sorry. But she makes sure that we stay on schedule. And well, I'm gonna let you tell your good news.
I bought a house. Well,
yay!
My husband matters. He exists. He's very much a part of this.
It was a family affair. Let's talk about that. It's a multi-family affair, not just you and your husband.
Yeah. It is where my mom plans to retire eventually, but whenever she feels like she can. But no, we're very, very excited. We officially move in this weekend, actually. So that's been a little stressful, packing around a 1-year-old. It's really hard to pack a nursery when he's sleeping in it. So, but we're making it work, and we're very, very excited.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you kept able to hop on with us. I did want to ask you because you work in this industry and you know how the process should go.
Yeah.
Where did the process go for you, Annie? Let's tell a little truth here.
Well, so this is actually our second purchase, technically. But the first one was our townhouse that we currently stay at. And I actually bought it from my dad because we were already renting it from him when we first moved to Georgia. And so I kind of I was still working in real estate. So I still had these connections already. So I kind of just walked out of my office to the lender we had at that office and was like, hey, I'm thinking I want to buy this townhouse. Can you run some numbers? And he ran numbers and I was like, I like those numbers. So then we did it. I called my dad literally that afternoon. Was like, hey, I want to buy the townhouse. And he said, okay. And that was the whole conversation. That was the whole process. Next thing you know, I'm just signing papers and boom.
And this time,
but this time,
similarly, but a little different because you acted as the agent on this transaction too.
Right. Similarly, because I was the agent on this transaction. And also I was not necessarily looking for a house. I was just, one of those when you get to a certain age, you just, instead of scrolling on other sites, you're scrolling on Zillow because what else are you doing when you're watching television at night? Well, I was scrolling on Zillow. I saw this house and I was like, this looks cute. Went to go see it and was like, this looks really cute. Next thing you know, I'm on the phone with my husband. I'm on the phone with my mom. I'm on the phone with Daniel. I'm on the phone with LaCressa. So I think I found a house. And then I got pre-approved. Do as I say, not as I do. Get pre-approved first.
I wanted to share that with the listeners because we all work in real estate. And so for us, it's like, I was trying to explain it. It's like a mechanic working on his own car. He's going to do things a little bit differently than he normally would. You work in real estate. I remember when we bought the home we're in now, we had just refinanced our property in Decatur, and we were like, oh, wow, we've got a little room here to afford another property. And that's what made us do it. If I didn't work in mortgages, I'd been like, our refinance is done. Thank goodness. And never thought about it again.
Yep.
And because you work in this space, you were able to say, oh, it went from I'm scrolling Zillow to I want to see it to I just called my lender who works down the hall for me.
Literally within a 2-day space. The house that we currently bought was on the market for I think 3 days before I saw it. And they were having their first open house the day I put it in our offer. And that was literally February 1st, and we closed February 28th.
And so LaCressa, watching Annie go through this and watching Annie kind of navigate this, because again, this is Annie's deal as an agent, but she works with you. What was it like kind of watching the bird try to leave the nest? It was
So, I decided from the beginning that I never shared this with Annie, by the way, but I decided from the beginning that I was going to be as hands-off as possible because I needed this to be a coaching and a teachable moment for her. I needed to watch her and see her not only trust the process for herself, it also would allow her to understand the process because she is a licensed assistant. So she will be working with buyers and sellers and investors because as we grow our business, Annie's my assistant, by the way, my assistant extraordinaire. She tells me what to do and I do it usually. And so with many reminders, by the way. So that was one thing. Also, the nuances of working with your family is a little bit different. Not only was she acting as an agent for the property, she's working as a buyer along with her husband, along with her mother who lives out of state, right? And so I wanted and needed to be hands off because I needed her to trust herself through this process. I needed her to trust that she could advise her husband and advise her mother and manage the expectations of everyone, because that is one of the things that we do as a realtor. Everyone's emotions are going up and down and up and down, and they get to the ledge and then we got to talk them off the ledge, and then they're about to jump and then we grab them real quick like we're Arnold Schwarzenegger and we pull them over on the side and then we talk to them again, right? And so with it having the dynamic of, number one, she's going to be moving into a house for a multi-generational house. Her mother's not here yet, but eventually it's going to be her husband, her child, and her mother. That's a whole ball game in itself. Secondly, her mother is many states away. So she's having to rely and trust on Annie's observations as well as her own discernment about whether this is going to work with everyone. So at one point, Donna did call me and was like, hey, sometimes I can be a lot and I just want to make sure that I'm not stressing my daughter out. And I was like, Yeah, I know the players, right? I know
I'm familiar.
I'm familiar with the players. I know how this could possibly play out. But what I ended up telling Donna was that she has to manage your expectations. That is her job as a realtor.
Right.
And as a daughter going into a house with your mother and your husband, you're going to have to manage a lot of people's expectations because you're the center. Right. And so now is the time for her to start trusting herself and trusting how she can manage and navigate through this. And yes, I'm always going to be on the outside to support. She knows that. And anytime she needed me, of course, I'm there. At the same time, I needed her to trust herself in this process. So I was there, but I wasn't really there. I was just observing, and I might give a little bit of advice, and then I would be like, throw it back on her. What do you think? How do you want to manage this? Am I right? Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Throwing it back at you like, this is you, babe. And I love this for you, but this is also going to make you better in general as a better person, as a better communicator, that you can trust yourself in one of these biggest decisions not only affects you, but affects your family, multi levels of your family, right? And help you build wealth. And so that was my role and my goal. And she succeeded and she knocked it out of the park. And it was great. How did you feel about it being thrown back on you?
I mean, I think it is definitely a good thing. It definitely like gave me a completely different perspective that I don't think I had before buying the townhouse, because people would ask me for my opinion on like the home buying process because I'm a homeowner. But I'm just like, I called my dad one afternoon. Like that was my home buying process until this. And that's not really great advice. Like I can't be like, you could try calling your dad.
You can call my dad, I guess, but I don't think any more houses.
I don't think it's gonna help. So now I feel like I actually have a perspective. So when future clients, like if they can't get a hold of you and they're calling me, or they're like, they need their expectations managed, I really feel like I can actually assist with that. Because with my family now, we have this running joke, and it's literally still ongoing. They now call me Patty because I had to be Patty positive.
Where'd you get that from?
I'm this woman. She might be my boss. Her name might be LaCressa.
But yeah, I think it was really beautiful to watch, like just because what you said, LaCressa, being able to make her trust herself. Like that's the result of you knowing how best to communicate with him. You guys have worked together for years. You guys have invested. There's obviously trust and love at the center of the relationship. And so you, not even explicitly, but like kind of gently pushing Annie to trusting herself.
Yeah.
I think that was it's really powerful to hear you talk about it now, because like Annie, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I watched you grow through the process. I watched you go from, seriously, you'd be like, you called me a lot the first few weeks.
Yeah, I did.
But you'd be frazzled, like, how do I communicate this? And I'm like, just tell her. Like you, the way you explained it to me and you're worrying and asking it, I'm like, you just did it. And it's different talking to your mom, but at the same time, she is your client too. And so I think that I watched you kind of level up through the process. And of course, this process was fantastic because you got a home out of it. You got a fantastic home, a beautiful home that I'm going to come and bother you at because you live close to me now. Yes. Or again, still. But what I kind of want to ask is, without being too like on the nose, like, do you feel that difference a month later, like having gone through this process and kind of not been on your own, but kind of been in charge of the shepherding?
Oh, no, absolutely. Like, I think that like one of my goals for this year was to help, 10, 8, 9 families. I was supposed, I want to help, I want to bring that many families to help purchase a home through LaCressa. That is the goal. And I think that, I know that we're like basically at the end of Q1 now. I haven't exactly really been pushing myself in that goal. Like it's been a great little thing. I'm posting a little bit on Instagram, but like I haven't really been like driving it forward. And I think it's because I wasn't really confident in myself with actually being able to like talk to friends, family, or strangers about it. But now having gone through it, I can be like, oh, I got this. Definitely more confident. And I feel like I could definitely like talk to a stranger and be like, oh, you're interested in buying a home? Let me tell you more about that.
Right.
I love that. I mean, honestly, confidence is everything. And I know we say that in general in life, like confidence is key, but no, really is, because you will end up holding yourself back from what it is that you truly want. Like with every fiber in your being, it's what you're praying for, it's what you're thinking about. You're looking at Zillow, you're looking at all of these houses, whether you're ready or not. And you have to continue to rely on the things that you say that you want and build the confidence in yourself that I can do this. I don't know how the hell I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. Right.
It's
And
gonna
I will
get done.
figure it out along the way. And that's what she did. Like, she really jumped for it, because I was looking at her like she was a little crazy. I was like, once again, here's a house that they want to consider looking at. And she called me and she's just like, hey, I know I'm not supposed to do this. I know I'm not supposed to start this way, but I found a house and now I'm ready. Sure. Okay, let's just do this. All right, tell me more. Right. And so sometimes we know the steps, but we still get out of the steps and we hit number 5 before we go to 1. And then we're like, holy shit, I started at 5 and I was supposed to technically start at 1. And I teach people how to start at 1, but I still jumped at 5. We do that all the time, right? But to have the confidence to back yourself up and say, I may not know everything, but I'm still going to move forward, is huge. You can still walk forward and be scared as hell. You can still walk forward and be full of fear, knowing that your faith is going to allow things to work out for you. And that's when you rely on faith a lot, because you don't know what the next step is, but you know that you're going to gather the right people around you to help support you towards that next step. And that's with anything, because I find that with coaching, and you guys have seen that in practice with me with coaching, we'll have agents who have people who are ready to work with them and they haven't sold anything. And they're like, I want you to be our agent. And then the agent's like, holy shit, I don't know anything. And then they slow down the process. And then they end up losing the buyer because they can't confidently step forward because they don't know everything, but they're not willing to step forward in the fears of not knowing anything, knowing that they're going to figure it out. And you did that.
It's the old adage that the perfect is the enemy of the good. And if you're waiting for the perfect, now I know I've got everything. You only get to that point after putting yourself out there and gaining that experience and learning. And so kind of to wrap up this section here, Annie, I did want to ask one question. I didn't get to ask you at closing. First of all, our closing was awesome. Fantastic closing. Everything was smooth. Had to hold Julian for part of the time. It was awesome. I get holding a baby. I was like, look, my baby doesn't like to be held anymore. He can walk around. He hates it. So I got a couple more minutes of holding a baby, which was awesome. Was this a different closing day than your first one? Did it feel different for you?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, so much. First of all, my first closing was my lunch break. Luckily, the office I was working at was quite literally walking distance from the closing attorney I was closing at.
Beautiful.
So, and like I said, it was with my dad. And so it was kind of like working with his schedule was actually the hardest part because he drives trucks. So knowing some truck drivers, it can be a little hard to get time in the middle of the day. So they did give me an extended lunch though, which I really appreciate. So I literally was like, my dad came to the office, we walked over to closing, and then they're like, all right, so this is pretty cut and dry because no one's arguing anything. Like you said, you'd give him this money, so he's going to take that money. And then, yeah. So I was just basically sitting there breaking my wrist, signing all the papers. And then they're like, congratulations, you have a house. And then me and my dad got lunch, and then I went back to work. Like, woo. Which, don't get me wrong, still love the townhouse. So grateful I was able to buy it and I still have it and that it's kind of becoming an investment for me. But the process felt very lackluster almost. Like, it felt like a Tuesday.
Where are the balloons? Where's the fireworks? This doesn't feel right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was no closing gift. I didn't get oatmeal cookies, like nothing. But this one, it felt more real in a sense. It felt bigger. It felt more important almost. I think it was because for this one, because now that me and my husband are married, he was officially and originally on this transaction with me. And then my baby was there too. And it was just like, it felt like this whole big family affair because years leading up to buying this house, we always referred to our dream house as our big kid house. Yeah. Like the townhouse is great. It's a starter home. We're making it work. It's wonderful. It's doing everything that you need a home to do. But we can't wait for our big kid house. Yeah. And like the fact that we like bought the big kid house, like we don't know what we're going to be talking about next now. We're like, all right, well, we did it. We got it.
What now?
It's here. Ta-da. So it just like kind of like that realization of, oh my God, we actually got the big hit house. Yeah. It's just unmatched.
Achieving goals, achieving dreams, and making homeownership work, man. That's the reason we're sitting here every 2 weeks to talk about this thing. And that's why, for myself, I find it so powerful and transformative, because this is the American dream. This is what they define it as. This is literally, for a lot of people, it is the first signifier that you quote unquote made it in America. And the coolest part about that is it's the beginning of something, not the end of anything. So like you say, oh, it's kind of an investment for you. Oh no, it's an investment. That townhouse is an investment. That townhouse is going to only increase in value. You're able to provide housing for people who needed it. And in 18 years, if Julian graduates high school and you don't want him in your house no more, you got somewhere to send him. I didn't say that. I didn't mean that, but that's why I keep my rental house. I'll tell you that much.
Very good point. It is a handful at one. God only knows what he's going to be at 18.
Oh, Lord have mercy. We're both in for a trip. We're in for a ride. I'm glad my neighbor's going to be going through it too.
These Gen A babies, they're built different.
Whole other thing. Annie, before we get out of here, I did want to know really quickly if you can tell everyone where they can find your contact information in case they need a realtor and they say, this Annie, this producer Annie, she sure is a ray of sunshine. I'd love to work with her.
Well, I am on all the things. I am on TikTok, Instagram as Annie_is_Lola. I will tell you that story if you ask. And then Facebook, Annie Sapienza. And then email Annie@InTownLifestyleGroup.
Fantastic. Congratulations on your new home. Could not be happier for you, and really excited that you found someone else to help you move, because I was willing to do it, but I'm also 40 and old and tired.
I was only the storage room, not the whole house.
LaCressa, tell everyone where they can find your contact information to help find homes here in Atlanta.
Number one, you can always reach out to Annie because she's going to get it to me. My email address is LaCressa@InTownLifestyleGroup. You can reach me at Instagram at LACSalesATL or LaCressa Morrow on Facebook. I'm around. Let's hang out. Let's have some drinks. Let's talk about real estate and life and love and all that good stuff.
Right on. As always, I am Daniel Palmer. Follow me at DanielPalmerMortgages.com, Daniel.Palmer@ShelterMortgage.com. We're here to help you guys navigate this. It can be scary. It can be hard, but it doesn't have to be. It should be exciting. It should be fun. This is one of the bigger days that you're going to have in your life, the day you buy a house, and we would love to help you do it. That's going to be our show for this week. We're very excited to be back next week and talk more about life, love, and real estate. As always, smash the subscribe button, smash the likes. Everywhere. I just said smash the subscribe button. I'm truly a YouTuber. Oh my God, that came out way too naturally. Thanks again for listening or watching. However you get a piece of this, make sure you share it with someone who could benefit from our knowledge, our expertise, and our experience. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks.
Bye-bye.